Greetings and welcome back to Star Trek Discovery Pod, a sometimes funny, trying to be smart podcast covering all things new and classic Trek. Already making a cocktail, Bobcat. I'm your captain, Myrriah Gossett. With me on the view screen, we have.
Oh, see, I had a good one. Like it was like communicating through farts. Paul said, "Touch it."
And Clyde will be here in just a few moments. He's just stuck in the pattern buffer, but he shall be here soon. We have been returning through our namesake and rewatching Star Trek Discovery in preparation for its final season, which is just 2 weeks away. Can you believe that?
2 weeks away. No, I
2
can't
weeks
believe
away.
that.
It's so soon, so soon. So this week we are recapping and discussing the last half of season 4, episodes 7 through 13, so that we can be fully prepared and ready to go for this new season. But first, just a couple of reminders. Paul, where can people find links to share with friends and other people they want to tell the show about?
Yeah, for listeners, I'm messing up already. Listeners, subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. All links are at StarTrekPod.co. And if you love, hate, detest, really feel offended by our content, but you want to, support us, consider Patreon for $2 an episode at patreon.com/Star Trek Pod.
Indeed. And if you are hanging out with us live tonight on YouTube, you can participate in the chat with capital P, capital O, capital D, capital Pod in the comment. We'll take note of that. We'll see what you're chatting about. And we'll discuss, answer questions, comments, concerns, and maybe bring your comment up on screen. Just a few things to plug for the Patreon. I'll just say I'm going to be a really nice host, and I think we're going to review an episode that has something to do with season 5 for our patron episode this month. We had been discussing doing a section 31, but I think I have a better idea of an episode. So if you are one of our patrons, you should keep an eye out for that. It'll perhaps give you some enlightenment and necessary pieces of information that'll be helpful going into season 5. Ooh, I'm not breaking embargo rules, I promise. Yes, other announcements while we're waiting for Clyde to get out of the pattern buffer. Next week, our lovely friends, Strange New Pod and the Duras Sisters podcast are hosting the Last Days of Disco Festival over on their channels. So Strange New Pod's YouTube and the Duras Sisters podcast, traditional RSS feed. We'll be having a ton of special content celebrating all things Star Trek Discovery. We are participating. So this episode that we're recording tonight, hey everyone, if you're listening and you're new to us, we hope you enjoy our review and recap. This will replay over there next week. And then I am also participating on the Star Trek Captains discussion panel. I'll be chatting it up about Burnham. And I know I posted on social and I think on our patron channels. I would love to know what Captain Burnham has meant to you, because I want to share some of your thoughts and opinions during that panel. So tune in if you want some extra Star Trek content over the next week while we're waiting with bated breath for season 5 to start. All right, that was a lot of talking. I think it might be time for us to dig into some
Rapid Riker.
some rapid Rikers, some seasoned frakes, if you will. Paul, what did you think about the back half of this season?
I think overall it has some really good VFX.
Yeah.
and the production value is high, and I really love that they're kind of crystallizing Burnham's character in a way.
Mhm.
Who she is. Uh I feel like plotting wise, it feels a little uh messy.
Mm.
Like giving everyone they did it well with what you call it, Brave New World, Strange New World, with
Mhm.
giving everyone their moments for whatever
Mhm.
reason. Like when they tried to give everyone their moments in season 4, it feels a little, oh, there he is. Oh my god, look at that red mic. Red alert, everyone. Red alert.
Red alert. Clyde is on the bridge. What's up, Clyde?
Just be happy I have a mic. If we remember what happened the last time I was here, this is not even my mic. This is a borrowed mic. I'm just.
I think it needs to be your mic. That I think red mic is. I think I love it. Anyway, so I think in some ways I feel that it's not my favorite half season. There you go.
See that. All right. Clyde, I'll let you get settled while I give you my rapid Riker for this half of the season. I think it's interesting. I realize now that we probably should have watched 1 through 7 for the first half because that is before there's the mid-season break by the dates. So my bad on planning. But I will say that episode 7 and like the last 2 for me were probably the strongest. And I think to your point, Paul, it's like it felt very extended. Like it took so long for us to finally get to the 10C that it did feel so like rushed at the end to like have their arrival moment. In communicating with them. And so I mean, I still enjoyed a lot of this season. I agree with you that Burnham really had like a really lovely, I think, solidification of her captaincy and like how she decided to use diplomacy at her core. So yeah, I thought we got a lot of like really great Burnham moments, and I have some good hopes for next season based on this season.
Like,
but
just to like, one thing that they did very interestingly, and I didn't notice this the first time I watched it, was like the first episode of season 4 is Kobayashi Maru. And and ultimately the president of the Federation, what's her name?
Relic
goes like, can you make the tough choice?
Yeah.
And like in the end, like she makes the tough choice in letting Book go. But for whatever reason, like it got kind of like lost in the moment, and it's only because we watched it like in such like binge format that I was able to go like, oh, this is what they were trying to do. So anyway, but
yeah, Clyde, what's your rapid Riker?
So I've been trying to think about the answer to this question of how did I feel about this? This felt different. I agree with what I heard you say earlier, Myrriah. 7 through 13.
Thank you.
That what? Yes, Paul. He's just very suave.
Yeah.
My gut feeling is I didn't love this half of the season, and I've been trying to figure out why. And I think in part it is I don't like the journey that Book and Tarka was on. Yeah, I don't like Tarka.
Yeah.
I want to have sympathy. Like I feel like he's supposed to be somewhat of this sympathetic, tormented character, and I just wanted
punch me in the face.
Somebody to integrate him with a phaser, like early on, like just end this. And then Book and this just recklessness. I get that it's supposed to be about this idea of how we handle pain and how we handle trauma, but something didn't land for me, and I think I'm struggling putting my finger on what it was. And at my base, I'm like, I kind of like a space western, and this was not a space western. This was a lot of talking.
It was a lot of like diplomacy scenes, which I did, enjoy some of that, like tete-a-tete, and I do wish there was more of a true like intellectual opponent to Burnham in some of those moments, like someone who could really kind of like give us a true picture, I think, of that other side, because I don't think Tarka and Book were able to really do that for me in that same way. Like I feel way more connected to Book's story than I do Tarka's. And so I have more empathy for his character, especially because he does like come around in the end. But I agree with y'all in that I think we spent so much time trying to get us to sympathize with Tarka that and it never came around enough for me, that I wish I had just like made him a big twirly mustache bad that I didn't care about and got to spend more time with the other characters instead of those weird one-off like moments where characters are trying to tell you something about themselves, but it's at like the height of the action, so we can't actually settle in with their characters. But I think like, yeah, I mean, to me, the core, like Sonequa Martin Green does like such an incredible job with this part in being this captain. And like, it is so heartbreaking in that last episode when she thinks she's lost Book. Like, I truly feel that. And then that turn to like, I still have to be a captain, I thought was like a very incredible and like beautiful moment for her.
Yeah, I would add to that Sonequa Martin Green. So Burnham's emotion over Book truly helped me understand, maybe for the first time, how deep their relationship was.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where there's no label to it, right? There's no design label that we would think, right? It's not a situation where she's like, well, this is my husband, or this, like, for a long time they don't really call him her boyfriend. Like, there's no label to
They were
it.
like truly companions for so long.
Right. And so you look at them and you go, okay, well, they have these shared experiences and they have this flirt, and maybe there's some feelings, but it's not until the last few episodes where I start to see how deep their relationship truly is. I kind of wish they would have labeled it. I kind of wish they would have been a little bit more obvious in saying, hey, this is a really deep relationship. And I wonder if that would have changed it for me in watching it the first time. Right. Because I'm like, wow, like she's making some moves here.
Like,
And
I
it
don't want to be
kind of
that.
makes sense.
I
But
don't want to be that guy again. But
be
I'll
that
be that
guy,
guy for
please.
like I don't actually understand uh why she's with Book in the way that she is. Like it's not. I don't
What do you
see
mean? What do you mean?
well, like like Book has an admiration for her, and you can see it how he always talks about her to Tarka, right? Like Burnham's gonna do this. Like if she says she's gonna, like this is not, so like you could see him like really, really like into her in that way. Like and I just don't know what does she see in Book
This
that
is an easy one for me.
You go for it. Go for it.
It is to me, leadership is lonely, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Is a very lonely place.
Right.
And what I see, what she has in Book is this place where she can truly be herself without expectation, often without responsibility, without all the pressure. She can, like, literally, it's a place where she's been able to let her hair down. It's a place where she's been able to find herself, and he has accepted her. And to your point, Paul, not only has he accepted her, he has loved her for being who she is. And I don't think she gets that anywhere else.
Saru? Like, what can she say to Book
But
that
I
she
think,
hasn't said to Saru? I'm just
but I
saying.
think it's a different.
Saru has tried to throw her in the brig how many times now?
Yeah,
He
but
will
like,
turn her. If she does not do what he expects a captain to do, Saru has shown he will turn on her.
But I think that's a big difference too, of like a work friendship and then a romantic
oh, sure.
relationship.
No, like it might be because I'm watching Suits right now because apparently my household we're Suits people. And I'm watching I'm watching Pearson, like she has a work relationship and she has and it's tricky for her in a way that
Season
she's
4?
trying.
You're about season
We're
4?
That's right. That's right. With
I've
DB Woods,
never watched Suits, but
apparently I'm a Suits person now. But anyway, the point is, like, I can
You will like the
see,
rest of them.
like I can see how, like, there's a difference between how she treats her employees and her employee slash significant other, Whereas when I watch her deal with Book, like it feels like everyone has the same emotional access to her. It maybe just seems, like that's what appears
Yeah,
to
I
me.
mean, I think it's why I wish so much that we had gotten like a full episode of just their antics between her
That's
landing and Discovery coming, because I think we
uh,
have not been shown, we've just been told what the
exactly.
relationship is.
That's exactly what, like, I see that, she says that I'm really into, but like I don't. The closest thing I get is the poker scene.
Yeah.
The
The
poker
poker
scene.
seat. Yeah, I'd love to
Mhm.
talk about All In because that was to me a very fun episode, but I also really enjoy whenever we go to these like kind of marketplace worlds in the future and seeing what the structures are like and how similar and yet how different they are. And also the glowworm poker dealers hysterical.
Yeah, because Mariah loves all types of capitalism in the future, in the past. It's all
Love
Mariah.
it so much. I love existing in capitalism.
Klingon Marketplace, Ferengi Market, Orion Market. It's all Mariah.
Hey, it could be bargaining. It doesn't have to exist within capitalism.
Yep.
But I do think, like, I agree with you, Paul. I think All In, which had some really fun direction, with Christopher J. Byrne and Jen McGowan. It's written by Sean Cochran. Um, it does a good job, and I know they had brought in someone specifically to direct the poker scenes who has
Uh-huh.
done like card play scenes, and so I thought there was some
Okay.
really cool attention to detail there of like making sure it feels like an authentic gameplay and like the stakes were there. And I mean, I'm also a sucker for like all the Oceans movies and heisty
Sure.
stuff, and it
Mhm.
gives that vibe in a really fun way. Also, we get to see a Woshikun, I think, in a much more like authentic character moment rather than like a one-off beat.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Oh
Oh
wow.
wow.
Oh
Oh
wow.
oh
Oh
wow
wow.
for Owo.
Awoshikun. It was Joanne. Oh wow. Awoshikun. That was her fight
Her
name.
fighting name.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I thought that was really fun.
I mean, I thought that was a really good episode. I thought it was fun. It felt like that to me, though. It was a lot, even though I don't know, this season felt like every set was very dark.
Mm,
That one didn't have the quite as a dark tone. It felt more like your typical Star Trek casino episode, right?
mhm.
It's the away mission where they're in a casino or something and they're hijinks. And I really, that's one of the episodes that I really enjoyed and was like, hey, this is fun. Like this makes sense. Like, you
Yeah, it
know,
felt like Seven. It's like so Seven, but to Connect, which is directed by Lee Rose, written by Terry Hughes Burton, and Carlos Cisco, who I love. Carlos Cisco is a great writer, and I thought that one too felt kind of that classic Trek vein where it is the like big moral quandary of like how does AI fit within our systems and like
Mhm.
how do we balance this new technology? Like I think we've talked about it before. I really love the episodes that take like a really big question and try to synthesize it through the story. And I thought that was an episode that successfully did that.
I
And then
enjoy that when you explain it to me, what I'm seeing and not based off face value.
And then All In, does play with those same, I think, classic, the casino night. It has a lot of like fun glances and looks and fight scenes. It's like, I mean, as much as oh my gosh, I'm blanking. The Cybox Star Trek movie. What number is that?
5.
5, yeah. I was like, that opening sequence of the bar with all the weird drag queens in the games and
Mhm.
like
Sure.
that CD, it gave me that vibe, and that was, like, my favorite. I mean, I
Like
love that movie
you have a
in weird ways,
you have a
but
very specific aesthetic, Mariah. It's really, it's not, it's off the beaten path. It's very specific.
listen,
Did she cut herself out?
I didn't do it. That's all I
I
could say.
no. Like I think like the cliffhanger. Everyone, just listen.
I mean, she's gonna have a great comment when she comes back. It's gonna be fantastic.
oh, I'm
All right,
back,
no
okay.
pressure,
Did
no
you put
pressure.
yourself in the
But we've,
battle box?
I
I mean,
know, there's a big storm moving through, so it was, like, a little questionable, but I think I'm back. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, I love campy, weird stuff. Like, if I could
No.
combine, like, Showgirls with Star Trek, like, that's, like
Words never spoken before.
I'd have a great time
Out loud, Clyde.
out
I
loud.
mean, for what it's worth, Showgirls combined with Star Trek is probably going to be very popular for a certain demographic.
I mean, I just
No.
want to have a good time.
Good
I want to
time,
be
no.
entertained.
I love it. Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? Okay, let's dive into I think where things start to get a little off the rails for I think some of this watching, which is the Rubicon episode, which is our big everyone's in a giant circle talking about what to do episode.
Mhm.
And then we also have Book and Tarka on their weird little away mission, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I get, the more every time we say his name, there's a feeling inside me that just goes, ugh. I think it was Choopy who said it earlier. If you completely removed him, could it have worked? And I'm thinking, it might have been stronger. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I hated Tarka. I absolutely just hated the character. And not in a Osira, like, this is a terrible villain and I hate the villain, but they're doing a really good job at it. This was just like I don't know.
Like,
Actually, I'm mixing them up. This is what happens at this back half for me. But no, Rubicon's where they have to like sneak onto the ship and like all of that nonsense. But we get Non back, which is fun.
yeah.
And then
yes,
like
I
the
like
DMA.
Non.
Yeah, this is like the standoffy episode. Non's great. I don't know. There was too much Tarka. I think I've just blocked this
I'm just
episode out of my
saying,
brain.
Like I think that what you're trying to say, and this is the way I phrase it in my head, Tarka has a face that is equivalent to what bad breath smells like. When
Whoa.
Tarka comes on the screen, I go like, ugh, bad breath. Have a Mentos.
like I felt bad because what was I can't remember the name of the episode, but his backstory,
The
right?
Galactic Barrier episode.
Yeah, the Galactic Barrier episode. So this is the payoff, right?
Yeah.
And this is where we're supposed to see his backstory, and we see the connection with whatever the dude's name is, and we're supposed to be drawn in, and he's supposed to be a sympathetic character. And the entire time, I am, especially on the rewatch, I'm convincing myself not to fast forward. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm so tempted. Like, I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. Like, it doesn't move me. It didn't move me the first time or the second time. It's not moving me now. Like, I just want to go. That's how I felt.
It's Oros. And I think to me, I appreciate that I feel like they were trying to make a parallel between Tarka and Oros as Burnham to Book and like people who saw each other. And that's like the love that is there. But I'm like, then let Tarka and Oros like be in love. And it felt like they just weren't ready to like fully commit to that.
Yep.
In that way. And to me, that would have been more, I don't know why love over friendship has to be more compelling. I get like, I would do a lot of things for a lot of my friends, but to me, it's like, if you're willing to destroy the galaxy, like to me, that feels like it has to be like
just
such a
Earth.
deep love.
I think you're spot on, Myrriah. I mean, there's a should it be and is it, right? I got some deep friends. I got some deep friendships. The truth of the matter is, yes. The truth of the matter is I'm not doing the things I would do for my wife. Like, I can definitely understand burning down the galaxy for my wife. I'm not doing it for, my buddy Gerald. Like, I'm not doing it for him.
So maybe I'm doing this marriage thing wrong, but I've been married for 23 years, and like, and we,
Clyde,
we
I'll
have
be
this,
right back.
like my wife and I have this discussion where we say things like, hey, if it's the fate of the world versus, saving me, and she goes, well, you're gone then, Paul. I go, good, and vice versa, right?
Right.
Like I go,
but I think that's why I'm like, but like, does not even, if it was a friend versus the fate of the galaxy,
Yeah. No. I hear it.
I
But
don't know.
Tarka, to be fair, Tarka isn't like risking the galaxy, just Earth.
Just Earth. But
Which he has no what you
he's
call it.
rising. Yeah.
Exactly. I will say this, like what I feel like they were trying to do was to go like, here's this person who he, as close as Tarka can feel love for, like, and he
Hmm.
betrayed that, and he's
Yeah.
trying to do everything he can to undo that past mistake. Aside from
Hmm.
go travel through time because the temporal cords are ironclad, you know. But like
Yeah.
but
It just it seems so extreme.
Clyde, so
No, like I'm with Myrriah where she's going. Like, if we're talking about redemption and we're
uh
talking about like I messed up, you can't burn down the galaxy to make up for.
like you're talking as someone who may have some morals, but Tarka has no morals. I totally
I'm
relate
just
to Tarka. If
he's
I if
saying
if I understood the feeling of guilt, which I have an algorithm that helps me understand, but but I can
I,
see how but I can see how someone could go like, oh well, I don't actually care about this stuff. I don't care about people. I just care about this dude that may or may not be in a multi-dimensional multiverse universe, other alternate universe. So anyway,
and, and I guess that's my other issue is like with book, I'm going, I get it. You're in trauma, like you're hurt, there's grief. Get that. Tarka tells the whole circle of people, I can do this. I know how to stop it. Like if we pull the power, like I got this.
yeah,
That's what he tells people.
yeah.
They decide no. Books right there. They steal the spore drive. They go to this thing. They blow it up, and it turns out, hey, guess what? It's not there. At that point, Tarka loses all credibility. But
mhm.
no, books like I still rock with you. No, man, he liked that. That
You
was
know
the
why?
oops, it's not there. I was wrong. You said 100%. It's here. This is gonna do it. That's what you said. And it made matters worse. Book
See,
should have been out at that point and go, you know what, dude?
it's
You are trouble.
and this is why I have such a hard time with Book in this, in this season, because for all of it, as much trauma as he's gone through, which he met his nephew for a month, you know.
I mean, his whole planet and whole family are
Yeah,
gone.
Are gone.
but he's been away for a while. Yes, 100%.
Right, but doesn't that make it even worse that
Yes.
you were gone for so long when you
Oh,
finally have
oh,
reconnected? It's destroyed.
hundred
And
It's
percent.
destroyed.
and there's this feeling of like, oh, I will go back home and I'll spend the time eventually. I'm just doing stuff now, but I'm going home soon, and then you don't get the chance to ever do
But
it
but
again.
then but then you're that person. Then you go like, but I will risk war with this alien species who on a whim makes this 5 light year old dredge like
Yeah,
he
I mean, to me, like to your point, Paul, I think if to me the more logical place, like I think you and Clyde have both said, is like that first time Tarka is wrong. That's when you go, okay, I followed you because to me this was a simple solution. We were going to turn the power off. I understood this. This to me seemed like a great alternative to just like let's wait and see, you know. But yeah, to y'all's point, as soon as that didn't work, I'd be like, I don't know, buddy, like can we rethink this? I think I'm out. Because as soon as you're on that planet with him, to me, as soon as I'm on that planet with him and I hear his backstory, I would realize this isn't about actually solving the problem. This is about something of selfish intent.
sure and to go with what Clyde said, I think that's why I expect nothing of Tarka. Tarka's a sociopath. He doesn't care about, and you can whatever reasons that they are, whether he grew up in the Emerald Chain and so blah blah blah. It doesn't matter, right? He is he doesn't care about anyone, and that's fine. But Book, I expect a little more from him, especially since he's with Burnham. And I
Yes.
say this all the time to people. I go, the person that you pick as your partner tells me more about you than you do. So in a
Interesting.
way, the person that Burnham picks tells me more about her than watching her. And like to me, I go like, you're picking someone who is like not great. And I understand he has trauma, but like, but like it's not great right now.
But he's so handsome. I
He's
mean,
so
There you go.
handsome.
And that's what it is. You guys are
so
super
They-
pissed with people,
But they're so hot though.
I,
Like,
I, I don't disagree. That's not the point. The point is, but like I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm gonna pick a captain to save the galaxy, hotness is gonna be very low on the priority.
I guess.
I'm just saying, like,
I'm like, you
if I-
got Admiral Vance and Burnham and like this is a hot cast, y'all.
I'm just saying, if I woke up tomorrow and looked in the mirror and I look like Book,
Mhm.
I'm going directly to church and thanking somebody and just woohoo. I mean, it's a new day. I'm just saying, it's a new day. I'd have like hair, it'd be great. Like
I would tell you, like, not to. If I wake up tomorrow and I look like Book, nothing changes except how the world treats me. Inside, I'm the same. I'm the same effing person. That's
Okay, let's jump into so the Galactic Barrier was directed by Deborah Campiar, written by Anne Kofel Saunders, and then Rosetta, which is our next episode, is directed by Jeff Bird and Jen McGowan, written by Terry Hughes Burton. This one was I mean, I always love all the episodes where we actually get to go to a different freaking planet because that's what I want. I want us exploring the galaxy, doing these fun little jaunts.
Clyde wants spaceship battles. You want little new planets. It's a fair thing. You can get all of that in Star Trek for $2 an episode.
And to be honest with you, I think this is I love Discovery. I absolutely love Discovery. I love the characters. I think that this season we got to see a lot out of Detmer. We got a lot to see out of Owo. I mean, I can't wait till we start talking about Janet Reno. That was amazing. But I think this is also what we're seeing here and what we're talking about is why Strange New Worlds is so popular. Because I feel like at its heart, Discovery was like, let's do something different. Let's do something edgy. And Strange New Worlds was like, yeah, you know what? Let's just go back to the formula that worked. And people love it. It's like, I'm tuning in for that every week.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I was talking to someone recently who had never grown up watching Star Trek and they love Discovery and they've never watched any of the other shows. They're like, oh, I checked out Strange New Worlds, but I wasn't that like into it, but they love Discovery.
I have a friend who was not into Strange New Worlds. He is into Deep Space Nine, but like he couldn't get into Discovery. He couldn't get into any of the new stuff. Even Strange New World, and I was kind of like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, people have different access points.
Yeah. But yeah, it was so funny. They're like, oh, there's more Star Trek. They had like this was their only Star Trek, and I was like, that's kind of beautiful and interesting. But I think it's to the point of like there is something for everybody. And I think Rosetta was like, to me, it has a lot of those classic tropes, but I think it's packaged in the Star Trek Discovery way, right? Like it's the hijinks on the planet, something goes awry, everyone's like not able to function the way that they normally function. And I think those are those like hijinksy types of episodes that I enjoy because it is like, if you took away people's like normal character tropes and their normal archetypes, and then like what happens when you change and shift that in this particular mission.
Sure. Like, I really want to understand, or how not understand. That sounds aggressive in a way. Like the choice to make like people communicate through farts. Like like I it's a very interesting way. Like
it's like a pheromone.
I understand, but like like so. Imagine I fart and I give you a light map so you can tell which part of the fart to smell, so you can have.
I mean, it's literally how some animals communicate.
When did we decide that this was a fart? Did I miss that?
I have never decided that's what it is. I think they released a pheromone and like.
I mean, it felt. I thought it was just emotion. I never thought it was I didn't think of it as a fart. I thought it was emotion and light. But okay.
Anyway, it's just a very interesting way to go about it. Like, and for those who really care, I would say that farts can be considered a hydrocarbon. So,
Okay, so Karng says in the chat, he says he's talking to Choopy, and he says, "I'm still not a real fan of the emotion-based hydrocarbons as a way to communicate." Right? Here's the thing: I thought it was incredibly complex,
Mhm.
but at this point in Star Trek lore,
Sure.
I felt like I was almost going, kudos for coming up for something that wasn't an easy solve.
Mhm.
Sure.
Because with all of the alien species and the universal translator and every just thing in sci-fi in general where you're trying to communicate with the species, they were trying to come up with something different, something that especially us as Star Trek fans weren't go, yeah, I've seen that in
Mhm.
Battlestar Galactica. I've seen that in Babylon 5.
Mhm.
I've seen that in like it's something where you go, yeah, I know what's
It's
happening. They came up with something new. And I was
no,
like, okay.
no, it's interesting. Like, it's no, like, Picard and what's his name at, like Shaka when the walls fell, but like,
Yes. Darmok. Yes.
uh,
I love
I
this
mean, that
part.
is
Mona, I just tuned in and heard communication with farts. Nice.
context is everything.
yeah.
Listen, I mean, to your
Which is
point,
what the lights are about, right? Like,
yes.
it all.
But to your point, Paul, the episode of Darmok
Mhm.
is probably the gold standard in
Yeah,
alien communication. And
100%.
so if you're trying to compete with that, I mean, it's going to be tough. And I feel like they took their
Yeah.
shot.
I mean, it's
Whether
also
you
after the movie Arrival came out. And so I feel like which
yes.
Yeah, no.
really so I have a thing to admit. I did not watch Arrival until like a month and a half ago. And
Oh
then
wow.
I watched this and I went, oh wow, this is just like Arrival.
Well, both this and and Arrival took an hour and a half for you to learn English. So it's like here, so here's
um
let's make a movie about learning English.
But I wonder anyway, I was like, I wonder if there's like a paper that's about like the brain. I was like, there has to be like a book they're referencing about how to
Mhm.
develop communication between,
Mm.
different species. Anyway, I was like, there must be some similarities of like
I
how
mean,
they decided to do this whole thing. But anyway,
yeah, no,
it,
I,
it
if I'm gonna be more generous, I'm not gonna, if I'm take my personal taste aside and just be objective about it. Like the idea of like being able to create language from like just chemically, like here's my thought, and like I can just blow my thought at you, and you'll get my whole complete thought, whether it be how I feel or a story that I have or like math equations. I mean, it's pretty slick. It's
yeah.
just like, it's imagine if like let's say bees like this grew up to be like galaxy changing entities, like how would they communicate if it's based from like their pheromone thing. I think that's pretty interesting. I think the execution of it is not very cinematic.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the reveal of species 10C was cool. I appreciated that they didn't look like humanoids because I
Yeah,
I do think Star Trek has a tendency to make all alien life form
mhm.
humanoid in some way, shape, or form.
I mean,
because
So
the
I
entire council of the circle were all
yeah,
humanoids.
because
yeah.
bipeds rock, man. It's convergent evolution, baby.
But it's yeah, I just found it really interesting and to see how that was like all put together and
Mhm.
it almost felt like I mean, I wonder if it's similar to like I mean, jellyfish kind of communicate with like pheromones and lights. There's like different I think
Do they?
elements. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know jellyfish communicate at all.
I mean, they light up and they can excrete
That
different
that
things.
that doesn't mean anything.
I don't
I
know if
don't
they
know.
communicate, but it's
I
something happens.
but it looked very Cthulhu-esque, like, Lovecraft
Yeah,
kind of thing.
very Lovecraftian.
Like whale plus Cthulhu. I go like, okay. I mean, like watching it this time, I go like, huh, okay, that you took your shot. Like here's a species that developed in a gas giant that
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to me, it's like to me the hydrocarbons were really like their version of tone, right? Like we all speak English, but we all sound different. We use different tones to mean different things. You can tell when someone's angry versus when they're sad based on the inflections in their voice. So to me, it's just a different way that inflection is perceived without the ability of auditory language.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And and it's like, you remember Star Trek 4 where, like, the answers is whales.
Yeah, the one
Whales.
with the whales.
I mean, I was kind of in some ways like this could literally have been that. Like, like it could have been.
I remember I was like, I can't believe they didn't just be like, we should just get Book to communicate with them because Book can talk to all life forms
And he did a little bit at the end.
at the end. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, if they had just like, once they figured it out, radioed and been like, Book, you can communicate with them, come back. Like, I don't know. Or if he had just been like F you Tarka at the point where he should have been like F you Tarka, he could have been on the ship and we could have gotten there and gotten to our president, Stacey Abrams, way faster. One day. One day. Anyway, so Species Tensi, when we finally get the reveal, that is directed by Olatunde Onsunsame, written by Kyle Jarrow, and then the last episode, Coming Home, also Olatunde Onsunsame, written by Michelle Paradise. It felt like I will say the like long narration at the end, I did almost feel like, is this going to be their final?
Sure.
I feel like a lot of streaming services find a way to button up, or streaming shows have to find a way to button up every single season in a way that would be satisfying in case they don't get renewed because of how unstable all these places are. But I will say, and I think it's been said before, most streaming shows do not get to 5 seasons. So kudos to Discovery.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Flagship.
It is our flagship. I'm really sad it's ending, but I think and some things I wanted to bring up too. I loved seeing the Vance and Tilly combo, and I hope that that's maybe something that we get to see more of into season 5, and I hope is like a precedent that might be kept if it is confirmed that that's like the time frame that Academy is going to be taking place, which is seeming like potentially more and more that is the case.
Really, like 900 years in the future.
Yeah, the rebuilding of the Academy.
Yeah,
which I think leaves the door open for all of this cast to come back in some way for guest spots, which I think is smart.
I agree. I think there's a lot about this that I liked. So I did love the Vance and Tilly. I actually like the president quite a bit too. I definitely liked her more on the rewatch. I think this was a great setup for an Academy show. When I think about what Tilly's role and kind of mentoring the cadets and things like that really did go, I kind of was thinking like, man, this is a nice little, like, if we're getting a peek here, yeah, I'm watching. So I like that. But I wanted to ask this. Can you go back and remember the first time, and did you think Book was dead?
No. I could only hope. I mean,
whoa,
penalty box. No,
I didn't think they would do that to Burnham after all of the other loss that she's had.
Oh, that's why I think that they should do it, because like there's a history of captains like having very lonely lives.
Yeah.
In Star Trek, Cisco's the only one with like a kid, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, but he lost Jennifer.
Yeah, no, I know it's tragic. I guess Picard has a kid now, like his Borg kid, but like
his Nepo baby, yeah.
Nepo baby, like that's why they have hard lives, because like there's nothing worse than a Nepo baby.
Yeah, I also really loved Book and Reno together. I was like, mad that Book stayed with Tarka for as long, but I did really enjoy like their kind of problem solving abilities together. Also, just like, man, Jet Reno really just elevates every scene. Like,
Yeah,
even
I
in
really
just like voiceover at the end with the like already making a cocktail bobcat, just like the one-liners.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you. Like, when you said you liked the scene with Book and Reno, was it Book and Reno, or is it just Reno with any scene that she's in?
I think
Because
that, yeah.
Reno with Tal was good. Reno
Yeah.
or Adira, Reno with Stamets is just that. I
Hysterical.
love that. That is just amazing.
So
And
I
so,
would say
yeah.
like one of the reasons why I think Reno works so well is because she plays her archetype.
Mhm.
She's just a surly, like
Sarcastic.
yeah, like
Engineer.
smarty pants. She's
Yeah.
House.
Yeah.
But
She's basically in Space House.
yeah, but I also think that part of it is that she provides balance. Because if you take Reno out, the show's really heavy,
Yeah, no,
right? Like it's a bunch of like, especially this season,
And
it's a bunch of sad, like stressed out people who we've dealt with more trauma in this season. Like everybody's got trauma. Like everybody,
Mhm.
like poor Colbert.
not
Colbert's trying
Linus.
to do
Oh,
not Linus.
Linus. I
But
felt like they used to
yeah,
give Tilly some of that
Yeah,
lighten up, right? With like a
Yep.
lot of the
yes.
one-liners and stuff. And I kind of miss some of those aspects to Tilly, like the excitement,
Mhm.
a bit of the naivete, which was like there. And obviously she's grown, but I do miss some of the whimsy.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that that comes back now that she's like the character is built to being, I think, a little bit more sure in her choices.
Mhm.
But
Like
I think, yeah, to Chupi's point too, it's like Reno gives a very lovely speech about like the loss of their
Yeah.
wife and like
Mhm.
is so able to balance, like to your point, Clyde, like it's the levity, but also the ability to still be heartful and truthful and like, I don't know,
but
Tignataro
but
knocking
but
out of the park.
I would say that like like what they do, what she does very well in as a character is like she keeps it locked down.
Mhm.
You know, she handles her shit. And then like, until like, and she can share when it's necessary, but like when it's not necessary,
Yeah.
get to work. That's her
Chew,
vibe, right?
chew the licorice. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think part of it though is it's interesting because when I look at this crew, I love this crew, but somehow they seem a bit young. Like they all seem a little bit young as a crew goes, as a senior staff. But
No one's handling
Reno,
this shit.
yeah, but Reno has this sense of like maturity,
Yeah.
of security. Like, yeah,
I
I've
think
been
it's like
through this
her
a
and
bit.
Culber. You know, you could like if
Mhm.
Yeah.
Culber's also in a scene, I feel very stable in what
Yeah.
Culber's
So
about to
Colbert,
deliver.
until he goes like, I'm about to fall apart, everyone.
Yes.
But to be fair, like he's the one where I go like, oh, okay, I can accept that. I accept that when he goes like, hey, I'm having a hard time keeping it together because he doesn't really because here's what he does. He denies it first.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
fine. I'm fine. And that's how people deal with stuff.
Yeah.
There's denial first. It doesn't go off like immediately how Owushiku went and goes, I need to go down now through like no, like first you have to it has to build to that point. And so
Mhm.
like I think that's why uh I like Reno simply because Reno holds it together.
Yeah.
She values holding it together.
Mhm.
So Chupi says what I was thinking, and that is she's a surly Guinan. Look, it's interesting. Watching this show has forced me to come to terms with things about my viewing habits that I feel like are kind of they're more simplistic than I probably want to admit. And it
They're not,
is
they're less optimal.
here's what it is. It's like, man, I really like the hero character that I could root for. When you remove that, I'm like, man, something's missing. It's not complex.
Well,
It's
that's
just,
why you love
but
Shaw
it's
so much, right?
exactly. Yep, that's it. That's exactly it. But I also think what I love is I love a good wise character.
Uh-huh.
When I was watching
You're embarrassing me,
the
Clyde. I'm right here.
I know when I was watching This Is Us and we were podcasting about This Is Us,
And
there's a
when the doctor
character
came
that
on, the doctor.
No, it's the father, like his
Uh,
Randall's father, William.
sure.
What we called William was, we called him the wise Pixar owl, right?
Okay.
Because in Pixar movies, you've got some old, wise character that's retired, but they just got all this wisdom. And for whatever reason, it roots you in like, oh man, I just like that. So anytime you introduce that character, there's something, Myrriah, use the word like safe and secure. Like there's something about that wise mentor character that just kind of roots everything. It's what Guinan was. Like Guinan, for the most part, through every episode, she was never shaken about anything. That's what Reno is. And so when Reno steps into the scene, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen, but Reno's here. So it's okay. And I think having Reno on Tarko's and Book's ship made me go, I don't know what's going to happen, but they're not going to destroy that DMA. They're not going to get the controller because Reno's there. And Reno's there. It's all going to be okay.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Any predictions going into season 5?
Well, it's a treasure hunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like predictions is hard. Like there are wants that I want. Like I want Larka, because because
Lorca?
it should Lorca. Sorry, I want Lorca because
Mhm.
I think that would be a great bookmark. But what do you think they're trying to find? It's been hidden for centuries, they say.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an idea? I have an idea.
I'm wondering if it has something to do with the Genesis machine.
Oh yeah.
That
Like
would be my guess.
I think I put all my money on Peanut Hamper. Boom!
Oh, it's back, baby. It's peanut hamper time.
Well done. That was good. I did not see that one coming. You got me.
Centuries. Very good. Anyway.
No, I don't know about predictions for the season. And I want to tread lightly here. I mean, I guess my question at this point is, what's going to be the evolution of Burnham, right? We've been on this journey with Burnham for coming up on 5 seasons now, and we've seen Burnham being stripped of everything, being the heir apparent, but then being stripped of everything, being elevated, being refusing the leadership, the chair, then accepting the chair, coming to terms with who they are. And now we've seen them go through a whole season sitting in the seat and doing really well. What's the next evolution for Burnham as a captain? And then what do we see? I think I'm curious about how the people around her are going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And are we going to get new characters? I was like a good new character, not a Barkley new character, but a good new character.
I have thoughts about that, Clyde. What I would want is for everyone not to grow. I would like them to just hey, let's just see they've made it, and let's just see this crew do it. Have that season where they're just
Doing
they're
it.
just being awesome. Just awesome up without the trauma, without
Yeah. I think to me, it's I want to feel that same stability with our core characters. I want Tilly, Saru, and Burnham to feel to be their archetypes this whole season. I think there's room for growth in some areas and that security in the same way that we saw from Kirk or Spot, they're learning lessons about themselves that's going to enhance their character, but it's not huge. I don't need big shifts. I'm ready for Tilly to really come into her own and to be a little silly again. Or have some levity there. And then I think the characters I want to see growth from, I feel like Stamets has stalled out a bit. I'm ready for Stamets to have some big changes or some things happening. And then I'm excited to see what they do with Adira, because Adira is our youngest character and I think has the most room for growth.
Which is strange because in some ways she's the oldest character. They're the oldest character with the symbiote.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
What do you think the future of this Saru romance is?
Oh, I'm
is
all
there
in.
a future? You're all in?
I'm all in.
I buy that romance so much more than Book and Burnham.
I'm
Oh.
ready for Saru and the president.
Just because
You
me
and some
too.
Kelpie and Vulcan babies? Is that what you're looking for?
I'm
Like-
ready for them to be like the Riker Deanna, you
Yeah,
know?
like could you see the relationship come about? Like I go, oh, I'm watching them get together. There's that meet cute. There's
Mhm.
all the stuff. I go like, oh, I want them to get together. Like
It's actually really sweet. It's a really
Yeah.
sweet meet cute, and it's like, oh, look at them. They're kind of shy and
I
awkward.
love the tea exchange. It's
Yeah.
so cute. Anyway, I'm excited. I hope it's
Okay.
lovely. I hope they
Yeah.
don't. I hope no one dies. I can't handle if one of them dies.
I guess my big thing, the reason why I bring that up is it's like every time we get a new season, there's like time passes,
Mhm.
and it'd be really easy for them just to be like, oh yeah, it didn't work out, and just not do it. I do want to see more of it.
Yeah. Oh, and Mona brings up, I hope they bring Gray back as well. I'd like to see what Gray has been up to with the Trill world. I think that's always really fun. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I want Book to come back, and I want some more Will They, Won't They with Book and Burnham.
But Book's in a lot of trouble, though, isn't he?
I mean, seemingly, it seems like a pretty nice punishment of just, we're going to go make you work with refugees rather than like throw you in the brig.
But I mean, they stole the prototype of the spore drive, and that
Mhm.
thing blew up.
Yeah.
So unless he grabbed it,
Well, no, like you can just program it because it's not like they stole the plans. And here's a place where programmable matter is all the rage.
well, so will we see more spore drive enabled ships?
Well, once again, there are only 2 people in the universe who can pilot one.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they're probably going to have to figure out alternative
Yeah.
means.
You know,
because it doesn't-
I hear there's a desert planet where there's spice that can help
Yeah. And then how do you want the show to end? How do you want season 5 to come to a close?
I don't.
Yeah.
Well,
I want it to be a surprise and be like, surprise, season 6 coming next year.
like for me, I would just like it to end where the Federation is kind of like back.
Yeah,
You
to
know?
make the academy more stable.
Yeah, just like this for all of it, everything in the future is about repairing the universe or repairing to get us back to where we were. Like, you're basically in the version of Star Trek Mad Max, right? And
Mhm.
now like you're at a place where you're trying to rebuild. And I would like to see, like the seeds of that being rebuilt. Like we have now the lithium, and now we don't have, we have like apparently space jellyfish who are helping us clean up their toxic mess. Just just people
Yeah.
like being happy.
I
That's what Star
want
Trek
it
is people being happy.
yeah, I want it to come to, they finally get to go on their 5-year science mission.
Okay. Like I will say this though, like where the hell are they going to really go? Because they can go anywhere.
I mean,
So
that's fun, right?
is it like one of the things that
I think so.
that made Star Trek was that we, at least when they were discussing it, we need to go fast enough that that our adventures feel like new, but not so fast that places still seem far. So that's why like warp is maxed out at 10, and that's why
Mhm.
you can like do local bits of but like Bajor is far from Earth. Like the Delta Quadrant is very far from the Alpha Quadrant. But with the Spore Drive, you can go anywhere all at once. Like it's Michelle Yeoh again. Boom, she's the queen.
Oh yeah. Mike brings up Calypso. I hope they connect to
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, there's some good comments in the chat that I want to get to. I will say I'm struggling to know what I want. I know what I don't want.
Mm.
I don't want to jump in the future where we see them all gray and older. And I'm like, we just
Oh,
came 930
you
years
don't want the Harry
in the
Potter?
future.
You don't
No,
you're
or
there?
like I don't need the. I mean, we just came 930 years in the future.
Yeah.
I don't need any more. Like, we're good. Like
maybe
that, I
like a
know I don't
10-year
want.
jump where you're like, oh, people with families, or like, I don't know. But,
Maybe. I like Stu says they all sit around playing poker. I
That's
mhm.
right.
think that would be a nice nod.
And then Burnham goes like, "I should have done this much sooner."
Yeah. Chupi says, I wanted to be, and they all stayed on the ship and went on adventures. I could dig that.
Mhm.
Uh, Mona says maybe they end with a talk of the academy opening up after all those years. Myrriah, I think you alluded to something like that.
Or how
Yeah, I
about like
think the academy has reopened, but yeah, it would
Mhm.
be, maybe they're all teachers. And maybe, what if I was
Uh-oh.
like a sneaky
Ooh, we
person?
have a Myrriah fan theory. Ooh, here we go.
They all decide to just become professors. And so it's like the entire cast or cast is now just on academy, baby.
I would definitely tune in for that. So, okay, so think about this logically.
logically, okay.
Who from Discovery do you really think might end up on an Academy show? If
I
and
mean,
all of them isn't an answer.
I feel like Tilly has already been set up fairly
Yeah, absolutely.
for that. I feel like Vance would make sense in some way.
What about
Um
Stamets? When he
Stamets would be,
originally in like season 1, he was gonna
he was gonna
quit.
be and go to the
He was
science
gonna
academy.
and be a professor. Yeah,
Let me ask you this: would you want Stamets to be your teacher? Come on, come on. Let's
I
be
mean, he's
fair.
taught Tilly and
Has he
Adira?
Adira.
Was he a really good teacher to Tilly, or was Tilly just gifted, despite Stamets' jerkness? Come
Yeah,
on, be
book would
fair.
be great. Book should teach a class on like how to parlay with uh with
Space
shady
worms.
characters.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
I
gonna go.
mean, go
You
ahead,
go.
Paul.
You go. You go.
I was gonna say I'd love Reno, but I think we
Yeah.
heard that Reno's out. Like Tignataro, did we hear that Tignataro's out?
I think
Like she's
Tig's in this season in some way, but I think in a
okay.
smaller capacity. Yeah.
Like,
Because I just think that she's got some other stuff going on. That
Yeah.
the actress has some other stuff going on. But
for me, the only person that works is Tilly. I wouldn't want anyone else. Anyone else? Like, as far as now, it's not what I would want. Like, if I were an academy student, like, who would I want to learn from? Tilly fits. She used to be. We saw her as a cadet. She remembers what it is to not know
Mhm.
how to do stuff. Everyone else is a bit of a hard ass in a way. Like, you don't want Burnham as your teacher. Oh my god. The
nah.
expectations that she has. Oh my god. Like, she went through some like real crap on Vulcan.
Yeah. Mike mentions Bryce and Reese. I feel like
Mhm.
Bryce was set up
Hmm.
to maybe have
I
that
think
role.
that actor booked something else, and that's why we keep
Oh,
seeing that other guy on the bridge instead,
Gotcha.
the newer dude.
okay. Because I know it was like, why can't you go? And it's like, oh, he's doing something for something
Mhm.
Well,
else. Okay,
yeah.
that might make sense. What about Owo? Like, I'd be down to see
Yeah.
Owo
What would you
in
want?
Academy.
What does OO teach?
She could teach
Piloting.
self-defense. Then she could. Well, Detmer's the pilot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so,
I
like,
think
yeah,
Saru would be interesting, but I think he's gonna, being an ambassador.
yeah. Like, I think there should be like a whole new cast plus Tilly. I think Tilly is the obvious choice.
Mm,
Paul, I think you're probably right, though. I think you're probably
probably.
right.
Yeah.
Well, we shall see. So the new season comes out April. Oh my gosh, 6th?
20?
4, I thought.
4?
Thought it was April 4.
April 4th. Yes, starting with the Red Directive.
Red Directive. Like, it's whenever they have Directive, like, I
The
always think
Prime
like,
Directive.
and there was a Voyager one, the Omega Directive,
Mhm.
and so like, I just hope it's not goofy. Like, I hope it's cool as,
Yeah.
so
I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Um, all right, y'all. So schedule wise, next week we are off, and then the week after we're back for the new season. It's gonna be
dude.
a good time. Um, If you like this episode, you can subscribe, rate, and review on Apple and on Spotify. You can join us at StarTrekPod.com to find links to our Patreon and other places you can interact with us. We are over on Twitter as well as on Instagram at Star Trek Pod. Thank you, Karen, for helping us out over on the crazy place that is X. I think, do we get 2 episodes on the first? We have a comment there. The first night? Yes, we do. We get Red Directive and Under the Twin Moons. So double header night 1.
They're going to like Tatooine.
I do like when they kind of make fun of Star Wars like they did in Lower Decks. Anything else y'all want to plug or mention?
Yeah, if you anyone wanna join a Patreon to help Clyde look more like Book, just let us know.
We can start a special fund.
That's right.
I mean, I would say, hey, look, there's still watch-alongs going on. I am thinking about maybe next week, maybe around this time, doing a watch-along. We'll see, something to get us ready for the next season.
Yeah.
You know what I want to do? I want to do a watch-along, a Star Trek 5 with Myrriah.
Yes.
That's what I want to do.
Okay.
I want to have a Star Trek 5, and just Myrriah commentary throughout the whole bit.
We could do a watch along. Like, do you want to record the watch along? You guys let us know. Comment on the Slack or on our social media if you want us to do a watch along where you can hit play with us.
Yeah. # justice for movie 5.
Justice for 5. The fan dance. There's so many things in that movie.
That's right. Like, what does God need with a starship?
Go hike a mountain. All right, y'all. We will see you for the premiere on the 4th. Thank you so much. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Laters.